Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The views, opinions, or advice offered by this show's host do not necessarily reflect those of News Talk 780 KOH or its parent company, Cumulus Media. This is Bosma On Business with award-winning entrepreneur Mike Bosma, sponsored by Keystone CPAs. We're getting Northern Nevada back to business.
Good morning, business owners. It's Mike Bosma, your business-savvy CPA, coming to you from the KOH studio. Hey, you Garden Show listeners, you want to hang tight and hang on. Today's installment of Bosma on Business. I don't know why it's so funny. Today's installment of Bosma on Business, we're going to talk about growing things like grass, which you can grow in your garden and monetize it as well. Today's installment of Bosma on Business. Do you ever wonder, you go to the golf course, you wonder, like, why doesn't my lawn look like that? Today's installment of Bosma on Business, we're going to get into the agronomy of a golf course and the economics of a golf course. Today's installment is Manya Brooks, CEO, Chief Cook, and Bottle Washer from Carson Valley Golf Course. She's going to share her journey. Of course, that's what we do every Saturday, right? We just give you a little insight into things that you didn't care about, but then you find out you are fascinated with. And I call it all things business. Without further ado, Manya, welcome to Bosma on Business.
Oh, thank you, Mike. I'm delighted to be here this morning.
Now, the way we get this thing going is if I ran into you actually probably at your golf course and maybe rubbing elbows and said, "Oh, so what do you do for a living?" What would you say?
Well, I would say right now I own a golf course, and not something that I ever expected to be doing, but here I am over 20 years later and enjoying it.
Yeah, but you didn't get your start. You didn't go to agronomy school to become a golf course person. You started as a lawyer. I mean, talk to me about how you got started and how you made the bridge over to golf course ownership.
Yeah, well, it definitely falls into the category of never say never, which is probably one of my my life mantras. Certainly golf was not on my radar at all until I sat on a plane one day, met my husband. He was in the golf world. Obviously fell in love, all those crazy things, and we both ended up doing what we said we would never do, which was moving to Gardnerville, buying his parents' golf course, and raising our family here.
Okay.
So, life has been good. It was a very unexpected turn. I didn't really know how, as a lawyer, I was going to be of any use to anybody in the golf world, but I guess it's that business thing. Definitely, my husband's good on the growing of the grass, not my specialty at all, and both of us, do a pretty okay job on the business side.
Okay, and of course I am very familiar with the business, having worked for, been affiliated directly or indirectly with most every golf course in Reno. Not the one in Gardnerville, although I did live in Gardnerville for a year. I love Gardnerville. It's great. The commute was awesome.
Oh, good.
But have never golfed on. I think your golf course might be the only golf course in all of Northern Nevada that I've never golfed on. That's a shame. I should fix that.
That is a shame because we are probably the oldest. We are the oldest golf course in the area. Golf course has been there since 1965. So, kind of by Nevada standards, it's quite old.
So, talk to me about the business of running a golf course. How do you make money?
You make money by getting more people to play golf every day. It's a very interesting business. It's seen a lot of ups and downs, even during the time that we've been involved. And when we bought the business at the beginning of the early 2000s, like golf was big. Everyone loved golf. We're looking at that whole Tiger Woods impact, and people really wanted to play golf. And then, like so many other people, we headed right down the tubes, 07, 08. And, things were tough. People just didn't have the money to play golf. And there were too many golf courses as well. I mean, every, time you turned around a corner, there was somebody else building a golf course. And really, it was those golf courses were being built for the property, like for the homes, as opposed to just the business,
the sport
golf.
of it, right? Yeah, no, and
So
actually, and I think it was
very challenging for many years for everybody.
Yeah, I think it was like in 2002, 2003-ish. There was a study that was done by some university, and it was published that said, basically building a golf course and putting homes around a golf course is just like minting money for a developer. So,
right.
And the kind of the idea there was, you look at what it costs to build a golf course, 40, 50, 80 million, whatever. And so you'd never build that on its own, but you look at the money you can make, what was desert now is a premium golf course lot. And you pay $500,000 for it. So you sell enough of those around 18 holes and you make all the money. Now, like you said, they grew like wildfires all over. Everybody, that's how you made money as a developer. You built a golf course, you put homes around it. And I lived for 10 years up at Arrow Creek. It was great. My backyard was limitless. It just extended. Mm-hmm. I didn't have to mow the lawn. It was always green. It was wonderful. But yeah, like you said, it became very overgrown with golf courses. And then all these developers found out they knew how to build homes and maybe even how to build a golf course. But running a golf course is a different animal altogether. Right. All the money they made on the lot. So they started sinking into the golf course like, hey, we thought everybody that was living on the golf course would be a member and pay us $500 a month for the privilege of golfing here. And that didn't really bake itself out so much. So, yeah, you ended up with a whole bunch of really nice golf courses charging almost nothing just to try and keep the people busy around the golf course. And so now it's kind of stabilized. So I was going to say, how's the golf course, I guess, industry in your neck of the world out there in Gardnerville? So that didn't really happen that much out there, did it? I mean, I'm trying to think how many courses were out there.
No, what happened was, just going back to all of that development at the time, this is a figure that really always shocks people, that only 15% of people that live on golf courses actually play golf. Which was like a huge shock to the golf world to realize that actually the reason that people want to live on a golf course is because of the view. It's not because they want to play golf.
Right.
So there was that then, and there was combined with something else was that, for many reasons, the golf industry had neglected teaching people how to play golf. It was just kind of assumed that, dads always go to the golf course on Sunday morning and that the next, generation of dads will do the same thing and, people will just play golf because that's what we've always done. But golf is a hard game. And if you don't teach people when they're young how to play it, it's much more difficult, just like everything like skiing, snowboarding, riding a horse. It's great to learn when you're young. So there was a gap. There was like a significant gap of people who just had never been exposed to golf. So a lot of things came together, and things were tough for everybody. I mean, not just for us, but I mean for the golf business as a whole. Rounds were down. Golf had a bad name. It was expensive. It was explosive. So we, from the very beginning, we knew that we have to teach people how to play golf. And we're now at a point where people come in and it's like, oh, this is my home course. This is where I learned to play when I was a kid. So that's obviously very rewarding. So that then combined with, we had to focus on ladies playing golf too, because that was something else that the golf world had done a really poor job of, was making it very difficult for women to access golf. It's a very intimidating sport as a female. So we really had to learn and understand, what do women want, and what makes it uncomfortable for them. Right. So and then, we landed at this pandemic, and right. All of a sudden we realized that, people want to be outdoors, and we're an outdoor sport. And I can tell you, because we're involved at all sorts of different levels, locally, nationally, with the golf world, nobody saw this coming. Right. And that this would be such a huge boom for golf courses. And it has been. And the challenge now is to keep that going. Right.
I was going to say, so the pandemic was like when you couldn't do anything inside and hey, we can golf. I guess everyone has to drive their own golf cart, but you don't get don't spread COVID. Actually, it's so funny, the pandemic, the craziness, right? I remember there's some people out trying to golf. They're like, you can't have two people in a cart. You're not 6 foot across. You're like, we live together, you knucklehead. That's okay. Same time. I was, I picked up, I remember it was March of 2000. And the only one in the office because everybody's sheltering at home. And so I just, I can do this from anywhere. And I rented a house in Encinitas, and I went down to the beach and, looked over the ocean and did my tax returns. And then I said, well, I'm going to go surfing. So I went out, jumped in the ocean, and the lifeguard came over there and was like, you can't be in the ocean. I'm like, why? Well, because of COVID. I'm like, you're kidding, right? So I'm going to write you a $500 ticket right now. Like, it's an ocean.
It was a crazy time. It really was a crazy time. And even for us, we were closed for a little while, which, similar to everybody, was terrifying because we didn't know if we would get reopened. And then we did reopen, but people we never did it, but people had, some courses had clear shower curtains separating, two people in a golf cart. It was just bizarre. But a lot of people walked, and we're a very walkable course.
Okay.
So, we were very fortunate in that regard, which was great. But it was such an exciting time because you're just seeing people coming out who hadn't played for a long time or who had never played before. Right. The kids coming out. It was really exciting. It was very rewarding, and I will say also that people were at their best at that time as well because they were so thankful that they had something to do.
Right. They didn't complain about the hot dogs in the pro shop anymore. They were thankful for the hot dogs.
No, and they didn't complain about course conditions or the weather or anything. Right. Really, people were very grateful that they had the opportunity to be outside, and that was a very nice experience.
Yeah. Well, and I'm curious. Don't recall back in COVID, but now were you an essential business, or did they shut you down for a minute?
No, they shut us down it was about 7 weeks we were closed.
Right. Now the question I have to ask for you is, did you get the employee retention tax credit for those 7 weeks that you were closed?
I know that we are eligible, but we did get an EIDL loan. We got help on the PPP, but we never did the ERTC. We never went through all of that paperwork.
Oh man,
to do that.
So for the benefit of our listeners, the employee retention tax credit, when was it? Today is Saturday. Last week, it was Wednesday of last week, the 31st. The Congress actually passed a bill that shut down the employee retention tax credit. So if you were eligible, you had up until that legislation went through. You had until March 15th or April 15th, I can't remember which, but of 2024 to file that amended 941. Well, Congress shut that down last Wednesday. So I'm sorry, Manya, that money's now evaporated in your world. But yeah, I had Christy Moore in my office. I think we pushed out $2 million of refund claims because people are like, I don't know. And if you qualify, you got to get it or it's gone. That money is gone, right. Gone. And so the other thing for the benefit of our listeners, if you got an employee retention tax credit refund and you kind of thought it was pretty sketchy, you might want to call us because there's an amnesty program right now. You can send it back. You can keep 20% of it, no penalties, no interest. Just give the government back 80% and we'll call it good. But if you don't, and they catch you, and they have 87,000 auditors that are out looking at these things right now, then you got to pay it back with penalties and interest, the whole thing. So when we come back, Manya Brooks, Carson Valley Golf Course, going to talk about expanding your industry when it comes to grass. It's Bosma On Business, News Talk 780, KOH. Welcome back to Bosma On Business. Your host, Mike Bosma. On the phone, Manya Brooks from Carson Valley Golf Course, talking about her journey going from being a solicitor, that's a lawyer in Ireland, not the kind of solicitor you're thinking of. Get your mind out of the gutter. A lawyer in Ireland. I guess they really are the same things. If that's probably Manya why you got out of the business. Sell your soul for $1. I just offended every attorney that listens to this show, and I apologize. I guess I don't apologize because I'm not going to take it back. Manya, I'm out of control this morning. We're having a lot of fun. Shutting the door on employee retention tax credit that got closed on Wednesday of last week, and so sorry to break that news to you, but what we were talking about is the growth of this industry called golf. What were the percentage increases that you saw coming out of COVID for people being interested in the great game of golf?
Oh, that's a good question. It's definitely a lot of people. I think the difference has been that certainly lots of new golfers, but the people who've been playing golf are now playing more golf. which is really nice. So it's your kind of your existing, like your core golfers are playing more golf. The big change is more women playing golf and playing more golf. Not just kind of playing maybe once or twice a year, but maybe actually playing, twice or 3 times a month. So that's a really healthy change. Right. And, the great thing about women playing golf is that a lot of them are moms. So, what mom says, we're going to do on the weekend, it means the kids are doing with her. Oh, and getting the kids playing is huge. I mean, there's been a huge increase in kids wanting lessons.
Okay.
A little bit to do with sports and the football and the soccer and the concerns and the concussions and all of that. And golf is just seen as a much safer sport.
Yeah, it's a safer sport unless you're golfing with my son. And he can hit you.
Right,
it doesn't matter if you're behind him; you can get hit with that golf ball. So, but generally a safer sport than football. You don't have to worry about concussions generally. So, okay, what makes sense?
So I would say overall, just a lot of good things have kind of come together for golf.
Now,
we're happy about that.
Okay, and on the employee side, a lot of people tell me that it's hard to find talented people. How's the employee part of the equation at Carson Valley Golf Course?
We have the exact same challenges that everybody has. We have a snack bar, like looking for cooks, bartenders, people at that level is very challenging. We are very fortunate that we have a lot of very loyal employees that come back to us year after year. I mean, a lot of them are retired, semi-retired, which suits us really well because they're quite happy to go home for the winter and, just take it easy and, come back to us when the sun starts shining. So, right. But yeah, we're always hiring.
Now, are you
looking for good people.
Open year round or do you close for the winter?
Yeah, we are open year round. We officially say we're open every day except for Christmas Day. So maybe Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, weather permitting, we're open.
Okay.
This winter has been, it's been too nice. Last winter was tough.
Right.
But that's the joy of working, with the weather.
Yeah, I would imagine. How much damage did you sustain last year's winter?
Damage-wise, really not that much. It was just that we weren't open for 2.5 months. Right. So kind of, damage, I suppose, financially. I mean, in theory, we plan for that every winter. You just hope you're never going to have to dip into the savings.
Right. Well, and that's where it's funny. When I was president of the Equity Members Association at Air Creek for a bunch of years, so I basically ran that golf course. It's a hard business. People are complaining about how much a hamburger costs, and usually it costs a little bit. And you're like, well, that's what you're paying for it, but usually the owner pays a little bit more. It's hard to make a buck in F&B in a golf course, which people just don't understand or appreciate. But it's interesting when a lot of times, like this last winter, I've got a buddy that owns Mammoth Brewing and up in Mammoth, and he was talking about the struggles of being under loads of snow and just the challenges with not being able to keep the lights on, so to speak, and that's where you imagine if for your business owners out there, as Manya said, she's you go and you have this crazy winter and you're shut down for 2.5 months, and if you still have overhead, right? There's still bills to pay and there's no revenue, and so it's just having enough money in the bank, save for a rainy day or a snowy day, as the case may be. I don't know. Can you insure against that? I don't know.
No, you can't. No, you definitely can't. And it's interesting for you to say, like at Arrow Creek, that the challenge is because we're at the complete other end of the business. Like we're very much we're a public golf course, classic mom and pop, and we both have the same challenges because people typically golfers are at a golf course when it's busy. So all they see is that, like, oh gosh, this is just a license to print money, Right. But everybody wants to be there on the sunny days, when the temperature is perfect.
Saturday at 8 in the morning,
so a lot
right?
of people that can be the experience. So, and they don't realize that. Well, actually, we're open 7 days a week year round, and there's days the wind blows in Nevada, and nobody likes playing golf in the wind. Let me tell you,
it's a different game.
On a rainy Saturday morning. Where I grew up, people will play golf in Ireland for sure, but in Nevada, people don't like it. very much, when you wake up in the morning, I know if we're going to be busy that day, because they're the moments when people decide, like, if they haven't already planned, it's like, oh, this is a great day for golf.
Right.
But if it's overcast and windy,
no way.
Yeah, right. They're not thinking golf.
No, I got you. And I'm curious. So, Manya, on the phone, Manya Brooks from Carson Valley Golf Course. You bought it from your husband's parents. How did that negotiation go? You feel like you kind of get ripped off? Is it a little difficult around Christmas? You're like, hey guys, you sold us a turd.
It's. I think if I was to do it with my kids, which honestly is pretty unlikely, because they haven't shown a lot of interest, and that's because we have encouraged them not to be interested, I suppose. Right. I would probably do it a little differently, but yeah, dealing with family is always interesting, and it's probably hard to be objective. And, tread carefully.
Right. Well, it's interesting. I had a call actually from a loyal listener, and his boss was selling his business. I kind of walked him through the paces of how it all works. And he was like, I don't think he's going to go for that. I go, right. Because he wanted him to buy the business for $3 million, but he didn't want to share any financial records with him. I go, it doesn't work that way. You have to pay for it.
Yeah.
You have to get your mind around it, right? We'll do a valuation. We'll tell you what it's worth, and you can decide if you can afford it. But with the insider loop, you don't have that transparency, and people are like almost. And I've seen this happen. It's just, and I mostly represent sellers, so I always have to coach my sellers. I've got a client, a long-term client of mine, 30 years, almost since the beginning, and she's selling her concrete company to her son, and I told her, well, this is how the process works and kind of what it costs. And she's like, oh, I can just do this myself. So she took her Excel sheets to her son and, hey, this is what you're going to do. And he was like, no, I'm good, Mom, thanks. And then she got all offended. And then they came back in and was like, well, he doesn't want to buy the business. I go, well, what did you tell him? She said, well, basically, he's taken on, in that case, $1 million of debt. And, which he doesn't understand. And of course, but he's only making like $1,000 more a month. He's like, nobody does that. Oh, I didn't think of it. I just trying to get my note paid off. Right. Because you saw it from your perspective. So that's where, you have to have both people represented by somebody that can help them understand the transaction from their perspective. And then usually you can find a good, happy place in the middle once you're all talking the same language. But it's always when you're buying business from family or doing business from family, it can get dicey pretty quick. And I think probably the best advice I can give people out there that are doing that is have a discussion when you're negotiating with your family, and just say this. These are the ground rules. Is you say, I'm going to advocate for my best interest, and I assume you're going to advocate for your best interest, and we're going to have this discussion, and we're not going to take it personally. And so when we come back, we're going to talk about having that direct one-on-one discussion when you talk about buying and selling your business. It's called Bosma On Business, Newstalk 780 KOH.
Named one of the best personal finance podcasts, The Stacking Benjamin Show with Joe and his friends makes financial literacy fun.
Work hard and save your money. That way, when you're old like me, you can buy the things that only young people can enjoy.
Squirrel watching.
You heard it here first. Get yourself a squirrel cam, spend $30 a month on nuts, and you'll be at early retirement before you know it.
No, Piggy, this is the road to a podcast nobody listens to.
Find out more by searching the Stacking Benjamins podcast, wherever you listen.
Welcome back to Bosma On Business. Your host, Mike Bosma. At the bottom of the hour, I always give you a little tax tidbit. As now we are in full swing in tax filing season. Hopefully this last Wednesday, you got all your W-2s, 1099s filed. They were all due last Wednesday. It used to be you got kind of a pass when you were filing all these things paper because they're really not due to the government until the end of February without penalty. But now they're all filed electronically. So if you didn't get those filed electronically, if you qualify, file them on paper so you don't get penalized. It's like $50 a 1099 you're late on. It's crazy. Or if you need some help, we can help you there. But really what you should be focused on right now is, we are in the first week of February. And if you don't have line of sight on exactly how your results of operations were for your business for 2023, you have a broken accounting system, because you have to be able to have a cadence of close, so that way every month's close, and then closing your end's a little bit more rigor, but it can't be more than 30 days. Because if you have a problem that you need to deal with and you don't have that clear line on your financials, the good, the bad, the ugly. There's no way you can navigate it, and then you're incurring those same problems without even knowing they're a problem. So if you need some help on that, we give the free 1-hour consults. We'll do the analysis on your business, on your financial statements, so that, because doing your tax return should not be a big deal. If it is, you have a broken accounting system. 775-786-4900, mbosma@keystone.cpa. On the phone, Manya Brooks from Carson Valley Golf Course. Manya, we're talking about doing business with family, right? And that's where I think, being able to help people understand how, like when I explained to my client, as I mentioned on the last segment, well, this is how your son, feels or is looking at this. And she goes, oh, yeah. It's like, and when I sat down with him, I said, here, you're going to make $70,000 a month. And he's like, what? I go, yeah, this is how much, you're going to make all the money. Now you got to take a part of that to pay for the business. But he's like, oh, then he got excited about it. So we got that deal back on track. So, but that's, how, is there's just a way of looking at things objectively that I would say, and sometimes, and it's true even for me, like, tax planning. I do tax planning for people all day, every day. I love it. I'd say it's my superpower. But I can't do tax planning for myself. It's just because I can't look at it right. I just get all betwixt and between. I finally got my S corporation set up for my CPA firm 3 years in. It shouldn't have taken that long, but I can't. It's like the cobbler's shoes, right, or the mechanic's car. It's just you're taking care of people and you're not taking care of your own shop. So you just need an independent opinion on it, or somebody to help you look at it objectively to make sure you're doing what you need to. So, but that's where on Manya, as you're talking about. That transition to the golf course. And then, of course, invariably, I'm telling you, it's like, then 2007 happens and, the sky falls literally. And then you rally back and now you're in a good spot. I am curious, though, how is the game of golf changing and morphing in your experience?
Yeah, great question. I think golf has become much more accessible and much more fun. I think the golf industry was always looking to the ski industry to see, like, well, what can we do? What can we make happen in our world, like happened in the ski industry where, people came up with this idea of snowboarding, which, of course, skiers thought was crazy, but it just became this whole other industry. So I suppose we were really looking to the golfers and maybe not always listening to them to see what it was that they wanted. Because, of course, golf has always been, there's so much tradition involved. It's expensive. The clubs are expensive. You're supposed to wear a collared shirt. A hat has to be worn in a particular way. And, we're supposed to be really quiet when we're out on the golf course. And we realized that, we are perfectly positioned, if we can, to do it differently. So when people would ask, can they play music on the golf course? We were like, of course. Like, why would we not let you do that? So that was like one. It sounds like just such a silly little thing, but it was a significant change. And of course, you hear music on the golf course. Golf courses are big enough that we're not going to bother each other. But you see people out there listening to music, and it's a totally different feel. Mm-hmm. The other thing as well was it was always expected that if you played golf, you had to play 18 holes, which was going to take maybe, depending on where you played, anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. And who has that amount of time? So we need to figure out ways to make it shorter. People just don't have the time. So, we're big fans of just that quick 9. Right. Maybe you can get out before work or, late afternoon. It's always a beautiful time. And the idea of having to dress in a particular way, we're very, very relaxed about that. That's totally up to you how you want to present yourself when you come to play golf. Yeah, there's plenty of places if you want to wear that expensive shirt. Yes, you may have to wear it, at that location, but let's take down some of these barriers and just get people out on the golf course and having fun.
Well, right, and that's where you were talking about the trajectory of how they were building golf courses, and as technology, as golf club and golf ball technology enhanced, you can hit the ball farther and straighter than you've ever been able to. So then they just kept making the courses farther and harder, and more obstacles. Right. And I'm like, I remember probably some of my favorite golf. There was a golf course in Reno called Brookside. This is going to go back for the old-time Reno folks, right on the backside of the airport. 9-hole course, no reservations. You just walked up. And I remember I had, for years, I had a group of friends. We'd get there at 7:00 every Friday in season, and we'd play 9 holes, and I was in the office by 9:30. It was great. It was just go hang out and just up down up down up down. Not didn't have to overthink it. Of course, it was a little tight, so I have a propensity to do a big banana on my swing, so. I could be coming from 3 fairways over, but that's okay because you just hit it through the trees. It's all good. So, but yeah, it's I think those low impact golf courses are some of the best courses that you can ever cut your teeth on in the golf world, and it's beautiful. It's a ton of fun, and I think it's neat to see that you've embraced change in a fairly non-changing industry as far as tradition and stuff goes. And I think just to get people acclimated to it, I remember, in fact, a former co-host of this show, Dan Gallagher, many of our listeners remember him. He was general manager at Nakoma Golf Course. And I don't know if you remember that one, but Manya, but yeah, he was that before Nakoma bought it. It was called the Dragon, and it was just insanely unplayable. It was up in Plumas, and it was just long and bendy and narrow. It was impossible. They just made it impossible, so nobody wanted to play it. It just wasn't fun. So I applaud you for bringing fun back to the game of golf.
Very focused on the fun part of it, because that's what people want to have. And what we learned during the pandemic as well, coming out of it, I suppose, was that people want that social part. They want the connection. So we try to have as many events as we can where it's the focus is the fun. Maybe it's just on some holes you might be throwing a football or a baseball or hitting a marshmallow, but just doing things that make people feel more relaxed out there and less pressure. People have warmed to that a lot, because there's no doubt we all. I think we had a lot of refocus on the whole life balance and all of that stuff. But golf has definitely a role to play. And I think I said this earlier, our challenge is we were given this gift, and it's to keep it going. And that's challenging. Right.
Well, because the question is, because you said, maybe selling it off to the kids because you want them to have a livelihood. Maybe was it in the cards? How do you see, the next generation? Do you sell it to somebody else or just hire somebody to run it? What are the thoughts there?
Certainly no plans at the moment to retire or move on or anything like that. It would be nice, of course, in a perfect world for somebody to send you a check in the mail every month. But we're not near that. And, our kids are, they're all on just different paths right now, which are non-golf related. And we're very, very okay with that.
Right.
So, who knows? Who knows? But, yeah, we're still, we're knee-deep in what we do. We love what we do. And no plans to change that.
No, I got you. It's just I because I'm a business broker, I can't help myself. I always ask the question. Now, if you're thinking about buying a golf course, even though this one's not for sale, I know a couple that are, and so right. It's interesting, right? Because we do these things called cost segregation studies. So that and basically you can do a cost segregation study on a golf course, and you can get all kinds of deductions. They are wicked tax advantage because all of the or a lot of the think cart paths, bunkers, all the grass, all of that takes is very, very expensive to put together. That's all improvements to land, so that's all depreciable property, and it's very, very tax advantage. So it's just but of course I had a buddy of mine, Dan Oster. He's also my broker, and he owns Sunridge Golf Course up down the street from you. Sure. And I remember he posted on Facebook when he bought. Sunridge, and so this is public domain. I'm not disclosing anything, but I put in there. He's excited. He just closed on Sunridge. I said, well, I'm so excited. You're gonna earn a small fortune. Hopefully, you have a big one because that's how it goes, right? The way you make a small fortune is to start with a big one in the golf course industry.
Right. Yeah, it's an interesting business. It really is, and I think the fact that we are open 7 days a week, which is really not a surprise to anyone. And it shouldn't be a surprise to me, but that's a really hard part about what we do. Right. Because, every day, you try to get it right and make sure that people have a good time and that they want to come back. Right.
No, and that's it. And I think, I applaud you keeping your head down and reinventing, an experience for folks. I am curious though. What are your green fees out there, in peak season?
So the most expensive that it will be this year, summertime on the weekends is $60 for 18 holes with a cart.
Almost free.
There's lots of less expensive ways to play. You know, you don't take the cart. You only play 9. You playing in the afternoons. We do a family golf program that we run every day. This is something we've done for years because we realized, you know, we're teaching all these juniors, but when are they going to play?
Right.
And really, we want them to play with their parents.
Right.
So it's been $10 after 4:00 every day.
Awesome.
If, you know, so long as it's a junior and you're foursome, that's going to be $15 this year if you want to take a cart.
Right.
But like we've been, our focus, we've had a huge focus on teaching and a huge focus on like actually getting people on the golf course too,
Nice.
like when they're learning to play golf as well.
Right.
Not just, you know, putting green, driving range. It's like, no, get the kids on the golf course. That's when they get really excited. And actually adults do too,
Right.
because you feel like an adult when you play golf on a golf course.
No, Manya, thank you very, very much. When we come back, you're going to give us the number one thing you need to know before you get into the golf business. It's Bosma On Business, News Talk 780 KOH.
Named one of the best personal finance podcasts, The Stacking Benjamin Show with Joe and his friends makes financial literacy fun.
Work hard and save your money. That way, when you're old like me, you can buy the things that only young people can enjoy.
Squirrel watching.
You heard it here first. Get yourself a squirrel cam, spend $30 a month on nuts, and you'll be at early retirement before you know it.
No, Piggy, this is the Road to a podcast nobody listens to.
Find out more by searching the Stacking Benjamins podcast wherever you listen.
Welcome back to Bosma On Business. Your host, Mike Bosma. On the phone, Manya Brooks from Carson Valley Golf Course. Manya, we leave our listeners with the number one thing, the big aha, the big takeaway. So if you had to, what do you wish you knew before you got into the golf business that you now want to impart on our listeners?
How important it is to have great staff working for you.
Right.
Yeah, surround yourself with good people, smart people.
Yeah, it's, as I did the chamber leadership program, we did how to bulletproof your business. One of those anchor concepts is the people part of your business. If you don't have the people part of your business riddled, you really don't have a sustainable business. And, it is interesting, right? I talk to a lot of business owners pretty much every day, and I'll always ask them about the people part. And some people, they gloat over their team, and other people loathe over their team. It's like, if I didn't have customers or employees, my life would be great, right? You wouldn't have a business. So,
yeah, this is true. Very true.
So, but anyway, no, thank you so much for coming and sharing your journey. If you have anything that's newsworthy, please feel free to reach out. Speaking of reaching out, on next week's installment of Bosma On Business, Stan Liu from Diamond Bar, California, is going to share his entrepreneurial journey. That'll be an interesting one. And I think, for the benefit of our listeners, if as you're getting teed up for busy season or tax season, as we call it, if you just need some, if you're stuck on a business issue, and maybe it's not in my lane necessarily, but we have a host of different advisors that can help you. So, probably as much as people call in for consults on the financial advisory side of it, business broker side, or the CPA side, it's, hey, Bosma, I need an attorney. I need, I need an HR person. And so, as the kind of that voice to business owners here for the last 13 years, happy to get you connected. Cause it's difficult. I had somebody, call me or actually text me, last week that, they needed a divorce attorney and I a good divorce attorney. I was like, well, there is no such animal as a good divorce attorney. Go to mediation. And they're like, what's mediation? I was like, it's kind of a way to amicably part ways with your soon-to-be former spouse rather than litigating it, because I've never met a divorce attorney yet that is not thinking that whoever they represent should get everything and the other spouse should get nothing. So it's just, it's just good. Just help them along the way to be able to say, hey, let's not make a war out of this thing if we don't have to. If you need to lawyer up, then lawyer up. So just different ways to do things. And I think if you need some help on that, 775-786-4900 or mbosma@keystone.cpa. And I think the other thing that is just really, really interesting on what we're doing is, like, and you've heard, as you listen to the show for any amount of time, that the struggle on finding good accounting help in Reno. Basically, very difficult. They're not really minting accountants anymore. So we pivoted our business model, and over the last 12 months, we've doubled in size. You know, we brought on 7 people for this busy season, and been able to find them. They're very trained up, experienced. But they all live in places that aren't the state of Nevada. So we just changed our people strategy to say we just need smart people that want to do good work. So we are taking clients this busy season. Hallelujah, we have some capacity. So if you need some help on that, again, 775-786-4900, we will give you a quote to get your work done. Until then, business owners, you keep that business engine humming. It's Bosma on Business. News Talk 78, KOH.
Mike Carruthers shares little pieces of intel and interviews you can use to improve your life on the Something You Should Know podcast.
The next time you're looking for a job and have to write a cover letter, here's some advice from Skip Freeman, author of a book called Headhunters Hiring Secrets. Add a P.S. to the bottom of that cover letter. That can actually increase the chances of that letter being read by up to 75%. Some people actually glance down and read the P.S. first.
Something You Should Know. Search on YouTube or wherever you listen.